Boxstar Forum, it's your boy Terry L. I'm back at y'all with another one. We're here to talk some more boxing news about the upcoming fight. It's only, well, practically weeks away. We are on the verge of the trilogy Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, the third fight, the trilogy. I don't even know what sort of headline they're going to give this fight. Nightmare versus Headache. The world shakes two. I don't know. World shakes three times. I have no idea what they're going to call this fight. Monster versus Avatar. I mean, God knows what they're going to call it. Anyway, let's talk about it, y'all. The fight July 24th in Vegas at, believe it's the Nevada Raiders is what they call themselves now. The Oakland Raiders have moved from Oakland, California now to Nevada. And for those of y'all who don't know around the world, you might say to yourself, why do American football teams move from state to state? That's another conversation for another day. But teams can move from state to state depending on the stadium and the mayor of the city, if they can get the money right to give them a new stadium and all that nonsense. So it's a bit political. Anyway, it's in Vegas, and it's going to be a fantastic event, a fantastic fight. I'm going to briefly talk about what I feel. We will talk about this again in the future here at the Next Phase headquarters here in Northwest London. We're going to talk about why I feel this fight is a 50-50 fight, briefly, in this segment. And as it stands now, yes, Tyson Fury is the victor or was the victor of the previous fight encounter where he took the WBC strap in fantastic fashion from Deontay Wilder. I watched that fight again recently, last week, in fact. And I was just looking at the tape, watching the footwork of Deontay Wilder, and it was very, very lethargic. It was almost like he wasn't even moving, like he had lead in his feet or something. And it wasn't that. It's not that Deontay Wilder is the best mover in the heavyweight division, so I'm not suggesting that whatsoever. But it did look a bit off. But also he was looking off because Tyson Fury was looking fantastic in that fight. Yes, they say he snapped an Achilles tendon, I believe it was, in that fight. And so therefore that affected his movement and all the other foolish reasons he gave with the costume and his head weren't right and all that nonsense. Fighters, first of all, do not like to admit, most fighters, not all fighters, but most fighters do not like to admit that the best man won and it just wasn't their night, especially if the fighter was on top for a while. They like to give excuses and say it was my trunks or my shoes, my shoelace, or I hurt myself in training camp. I didn't have the best training camp, my baby mama, all kind of stuff. So a lot of times fighters do pick reasons or excuses as to why they didn't perform. I don't always buy into these excuses and reasons, okay? So let's not go there. However, yes, Tyson Fury won the second encounter. Some would say he won the first encounter, which was a draw. I'm not jumping on that bandwagon. I actually feel that the first fight, which ended in a draw, was the right result. Yes, Tyson Fury boxed very well in that fight, but he got dropped twice, especially in the 12th round in spectacular fashion. And I think if he hadn't got dropped in the 12th round, and even with the previous knockdown, I think he should have won if he hadn't got dropped in the 12th round. So I believe that that was a fair result. The second fight, in the second fight when Tyson Fury won, obviously he KO'd Deontay Wilder, and his corner threw in the towel. Mark Brilliant threw in the towel. So you can't argue with that. And all the other conspiracy theories that Deontay Wilder threw out there, the glove gate and my water was being spiked and all that kind of stuff. I don't buy that either. But this fight, he's changed his trainer. Deontay Wilder's changed his trainer. He's gone with Malik Scott. Interesting choice. Yet to see whether or not that it works out. Tyson Fury is sticking with the guys over in Detroit, and I believe that's smart as well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I believe that that will work well in Tyson Fury's favor. I do feel it's a 50-50 fight only for this reason. And it's not because Deontay Wilder has the equalizer or the neutralizer, which is his fantastic, powerful right hand. I just believe his mindset is slightly different. And I'm not even buying into this whole thing about, well, have you seen him lately on tape? Have you seen him in the videos on the mitts? Trust me, guys, you can't tell nothing from somebody hitting the mitts. You can only tell how different it's going to be for a fighter based on his training camp and what he does in training camp and some of the things he may do behind the scenes that's not caught on camera. And that's some of the things that I haven't seen yet. But I'm going by the reports, the things he's doing in training, very simple combinations he's working on, the mindset that he's trying to apply in this training camp. Those are the things I look at. And that gives me an idea whether or not a fighter is ready. If the fighter is actually ready to give his all and throw everything on the line for an upcoming performance. And it's obvious that he really, really wants this rematch because he fought tooth and nail in arbitration to get it. He told everybody after the second fight, I don't know what Tyson Fury talking about, all this Anthony Joshua nonsense. He got to fight me next. And he never gave up on it. He had some fantastic lawyers who did their job. And so everyone doubted him. Everyone thought, forget him. He's over with. He's move on to the next fighter, blah, 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 go on with the next fight. And England wanted to see Joshua Fury. I think he played the English public. I think he played the world by entertaining Anthony Joshua. And I think deep down inside, his team probably felt that this fight with Deontay Wilder was going to happen. And if they didn't think it was going to happen, they some damn fools. But so I'm happy for Deontay Wilder. He's finally got what he wanted. And I hope he comes out on top, because if it doesn't work for him, or if he loses spectacularly in his third fight, which is very likely, then I don't know where he goes from there. I don't know what he does next, because that might crush him morally, and then he could be a beaten fighter. Just case in point, Sonny Liston was an indestructible fighter. And then when he lost to Muhammad Ali, especially in the rematch, he lost in the rematch to Muhammad Ali worse than he did in the first fight. And then he was never the same. When George Foreman lost to Ali, the Rumble in the Jungle, as we know historically, as it was known in Zaire, when he lost to Ali, he was never the same for years. And he came back years later, and in its history, he became the oldest heavyweight in history, in boxing history, to win the heavyweight crown. So fighters who are seen as indestructible, when they lose that invincibility, it can be very damaging for them. Mike Tyson's another one. When he lost to Buster Douglas in Tokyo, he was never the same fighter. And Mike Tyson always said that after the Buster Douglas fight, he couldn't really regain his mojo. So it is historically not in the fighter's favor when they lose that invincibility status. But Anthony Joshua, when he lost to Andy Ruiz Jr., a lot of people were saying, don't take the immediate rematch. Go fight another tune-up fight. It's a dangerous fight to go back into. Joshua didn't listen to any of that, because he analyzed the boxing spectrum and thought to himself, well, if I don't fight this guy and I go fight someone else, and then this guy loses, then my route to boxing stardom and getting the belts back could be all over the place. It could be, I may have to fight 4 or 5 guys or 2, 3 guys to get all of the straps. So I won't do that. I'm gonna put my strategy back in place, fight a different strategy, box differently, which is what he did, and he became unified boxing champ by winning the rematch. I mean, Andy Ruiz Jr. helped his cause massively, because he came in looking like an oversized giant by weighing 25 pounds plus more than he did in his previous fight. I have no idea what the guy was thinking, but you can't blame Joshua for that. He fought a smart fight, and he did what he had to do. So with the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder trilogy, I think it's a 50-50 fight based on the mindset that Deontay Wilder is showing currently. If he loses his rag in the press conference later on down the line, then my view could switch. But as of now, it stands a 50-50 fight for me. You tell me what you think. whether or not you believe that I'm wrong, whether you believe Tyson Fury is just going to dismantle this guy, and he has the mental edge and the physical edge. Um, and those of you who say that, I can't argue against that also, because I think it's hard for a boxer, as long as Tyson Fury comes in mentally and physically prepared as he did in his previous fight, it's going to be very difficult for Deontay Wilder. But I do believe Deontay Wilder can overcome the Fury demon if he continues on with this mindset he's applied in this training camp. But that's all I got for now. You tell me what you think, or whether or not you believe Tyson Fury will do the business, or Deontay Wilder will come out victorious in the trilogy third fight. Hit the like and subscribe button. Leave your comments below, and obviously, continue to support a brother, because we're doing this thing, man. Boxstar Forum is a movement. It ain't just a boxing channel giving you boxing content. Continue to like, subscribe, and follow, and holler back. Stay tuned for more future boxing content. Until then, God bless. Peace.